This video is about how we defend in a 3-4-3 formation. A 3-4-3 formation can be very aggressive, but it can also defend quite well. It requires work from all the players in order to be strong defensively. So we're not going to talk about pressure today. Pressure we'll talk about in a different video. But the first situation is the other team has a midfielder that's going through the middle. I've made them into a 4-3-3, so 4 defenders, 3 midfielders with one more attacking than the others, and 3 forwards. So one thing that you'll notice about the 3-4-3 is that there's only 2 central midfielders. This means that against formations like a 3-4-3, we have one less midfielder. And as a result, that means that we are disadvantaged in the midfield unless we get help from our forwards and our side midfielders. So let's go to the situation. The other team has the ball going through the middle. As you can see, this can be a little bit dangerous because if our center midfielder decides to go, then that leaves open space behind where the other midfielder can get the ball or the forward can drop. So in this situation, what we really need is for both center midfielders to act kind of like a wall, because they can't go in and try to steal the ball here because they'll lose the valuable space in the middle. So at all costs, we want to protect this space in the center of the field in front of our defense. This space is key. So I'm going to leave a box there. That space is absolutely key, and our center midfielders are required to protect that space. They should not be leaving. They can be outside of the space, but it needs to be with the goal of protecting it. So they don't want this ball to come into the midfielder here, so they need to form a wall, and that's where the other forwards, the forwards can come and help out. So the forwards need to drop back and pester this player and force him to do something with the ball. Likewise, the left midfielder can pinch in here because we don't want an easy pass into this space here. So we don't want the striker to be able to come into here for an easy pass. Left midfielder should pinch inside. And you might say, well, what about this winger out here? Well, for right now, we're going to leave him, because if they want to make this long pass out wide, that's okay, because we have time to switch forward. So let's say that they do make that pass. We've protected the center. We've stopped the easy pass into the other midfielder and the striker, which are very dangerous. And instead, they've made this long pass out here. That goes over the head of the left midfielder. Now, this right center back needs to recognize that the left midfielder is not back yet. And so this should be the right center back. Left center back, I'm sorry. The left center back needs to go and get in front. That doesn't mean that they're going in for the challenge to try to steal the ball. They're just staying between this player and the goal. And at this point, center back needs to shift over, and the right center back needs to shift over. And we might say, well, what happens to this player over here? Well, for right now, we leave them, and the right midfielder will tuck inside. They won't be man marking, they will be tucking inside on the shoulder and keeping an eye on this player, and the right center back will be watching him too. But the ball's on the other side of the field. We don't have to worry about this player just yet, just to keep an eye on him. So the ball's gone over there. Left midfielder should come into collapse. Remember, we're not coming in from the sideline, we're coming out of the middle of the field. The reason is, if we come from the sideline, then we're allowing that space for them to make a pass into the danger area. So we don't want them to get into there. We want to come out of the center and hold them against the sideline. We want them to be stuck in here, because from here, if they're stuck, they have 2 options. They can go down the line, they can go back, or they can try to cross it in the air. And we actually kind of want them to cross the ball because it's a very hard ball to finish. So we've made them get that ball outside. We're closing them down. We've shifted over at the back. Center midfielders at this point need to shift over because the ball's on this side of the field. And then you can see how Forwards can also move over this way in order to cover that back pass, and we've effectively pinned them against the sidelines. Right here, this player doesn't have that many options. Even if they try to get it into the striker here, he has to get past 4 players in order to do that. For him right now, the best option is to either pass it back or cross it. Let's say that he passes it back. At that point, let's say that they switch the ball to the other side of the field. At this point, our forwards will scoot over once again, and now we are looking to stop the ball from going into the center of the field. So if this ball is at this center back's feet, then we don't want him to be able to make this pass into the middle. So forwards should be looking to shield that ball and stop that ball from going into the center. If he passes the ball out to the fullback, all right, that's fine, because now we have a forward and we even have right midfielder to come over to stop that ball from coming into the center. Remember, we're trying to pin them against the sidelines. When the ball's here, this is not where we're trying to steal the ball from them. This is where we want them to be with the ball. So this ball, it's out wide. We've pinned them against the sidelines. Our center midfielders have rotated over to guard, like a wall, to guard the danger area. And we're forcing them to switch the ball around the back, to pass out the sideline. Eventually they'll make a mistake because there's less space there, and then we can start our attack. If that ball switched over, then the left midfielder should not stay out here. They should pinch inside. All the while keeping an eye on this winger out here, and this left center back should be looking at that player too. If the striker does stay out here, then the left center back might call the left midfielder to drop a tiny bit more. But it's most likely that this forward will move over towards the center. So these back 3 center backs need to be constantly communicating with each other and with the players in front when they need help. Because with 3 at the back, they might need an extra man. So, the general concepts of defending in the 3-4-3, just like other formations, you want to keep the other team out of the middle of the field. You don't want them to have easy passes into the center. You would rather them play it back or sideways. If they want to make long passes out to the sides and keep it on the sideline, that's okay, because we just shift over and stop them from going into the middle. If they can't get into the danger area, then they can't really cause that much damage for us. One challenge is dealing with the spaces in the corners. As you might notice, since we have 3 at the back as opposed to 4, the spaces, let me draw this, the spaces in the corners are quite vulnerable, these spaces here. And even though these spaces aren't super dangerous, they're not as dangerous as this area in the middle, this area. We still want to make sure that we cover that. So the general rule is, if a winger from the other team gets the ball over here, then if the left midfielder is not back yet, then it's the left center back's responsibility to stay in front, not to steal the ball. Not to look to steal the ball, just to stay in front and slow them down until the left midfielder can come back and help out, with the whole rest of the defense shifting over. Center midfielder's job is to shield this central danger area, moving together like a wall. Depending on where the other team is, their job is to, they can be outside, they can be inside the box, but the other team should not play through there. If they want to play forward, they have to do it down the sidelines or a long ball. And the forward's job is to drop inside and help out when the center midfielders are outnumbered. So in order to make sure that our center midfielders are not overloaded. That is a general idea of how we defend in the 3-4-3 formation.